Welcome back to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, co-founder of The Matrix Legacy. We are back for episode number 14. This is the show where we create a blueprint for success. We look for ways to create generational wealth, and we break those chains of a poverty mindset. Now, before I really hop into this episode, I just want to give a blatant disclaimer that this is not going to be like our typical episodes or our typical topics of conversation. We talk a lot about creating wealth in our mindset and the way that we think. And we talk about, how to create wealth from a financial standpoint. What I really want to discuss is how do we find wealth in humanity. And I'm going to speak on my opinion because that's all I can give. I can only speak on my experience. I can only speak on what I'm seeing. I can only speak on what I'm feeling. And I do feel like everybody is entitled to their opinion. And so I'm not coming from a space of instruction or order. I'm just coming from a space of compassion. And I'm really using this as an outlet to release all of the things that we're seeing in the media, the true colors that are coming out from people, the levels of ignorance that we're witnessing, the violence, the chaos is very heavy. And it's very draining. And I feel like these things, it's very important that we talk it out and we don't hang on to it because it'll eat us up inside. I'm a strong believer that the things that we focus on in life are the things that we create. If we focus on debt, then we're just going to end up getting more debt. But if we focus on the things that we're grateful for, then we get more of what we're grateful for. And using that same context, when you open your social media pages and you turn on the news, all that it focuses on is the problem. There's no solution finding happening when you're scrolling through that timeline, and we see the acts of violence, of blatant discrimination and racism and ignorance, and we see people coming out of what we thought was their character, and it's a shock. And especially when we see violence towards people who look just like us, it's traumatizing in ways that we don't even understand. But it's very hard to work towards a solution when it's just constantly being thrown in your face, the problem. So for example, when we see protesters and they're holding up the sign that says, "Don't shoot," I understand to the depths of my core what that means. But I also understand that holding up that sign is drawing more attention to the negative, the thing that we don't want. What if we wrote on those signs the things that we do want? What if we wrote on the sign, "Love us, accept us, stand with us, walk with us," and we put the solution out into the universe instead of pouring gasoline onto the fire. Now, is that the solution? Absolutely not. Is it a way that we can take a step in the right direction? I think so. Speaking about the things that we want, speaking about the solution, and not so much the problem, because we are very aware that there is a problem. And the people who aren't aware that there's a problem, that is the actual problem that we have. That there's not enough awareness and there's not enough tools readily available to create a sound solution. And I follow this woman, Jane Elliott is her name. And she was on Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith, and she was talking about how race is a human-made system. There is no such thing as race. There's one race, and that's the human race. But back in the 1400s, during the Spanish Inquisition, where they were having wars in regards to religion, and they couldn't figure out whose belief system was based on what religion, and they had to find a way, well, if we're going to harm people or kill people who believe in this certain faith, how are we going to identify them? And they settled on the skin color. And we just carried that out through thousands and hundreds of thousands of years. And here we are today in 2020, where there's some kind of ideology that says the color of your skin determines what you're worth. If we take a look, even just, growing up and going through the school system, we are educated that Black history starts with slavery. We are educated where the world began once Columbus discovered America. And so we grow up hearing these narratives, and it mentally puts us in a space where we start recognizing differences, even though there really are none. That saying, if you cut my skin, I'm still gonna bleed red. We're all human. But these systems have been put in place. There's people who are insecure about their place in this world, and they feel as though the only way they can feel powerful is by tearing down or making someone else feel less than. And it boggles me. I have a personal experience. I mean, my husband and I, we travel a lot before all of this coronavirus, this global pandemic happened. We travel 5, 6 plus times a year. And there was one time we were coming back from Lake Tahoe, and we were in the airport, and something on my husband beeped. I think it was his belt or something. And you can see on the monitor specifically what it was that made the noise or triggered the sensor or whatever. All of a sudden, 6 officers, 6 white officers, come out and take all of his stuff and guide him into this room. I'm trying to follow, and they tell me I can't come along. They take him into a room where the window is boarded up. I can't see nothing. I can't hear nothing. And my heart, even just thinking about it right now, just sunk into my stomach. And that feeling alone was a massive eye-opener for me in terms of realizing how quickly a person that I love could be taken away from me because of the color of their skin. That feeling was unlike any other, and unless you are a person of color, you will never understand what that feeling is. We were with some other people as well, and they were trying to calm me down and say, it's okay, you know, that nothing's gonna happen. But it's like, you don't know that. I've watched people that look just like my husband do nothing at all except for just live in their skin, be executed, be abused, be brutalized for no other reason than somebody else feels inferior. Because my blackness and his blackness, our blackness, made you feel inferior. And you needed to flex your muscles and feel like you had the power. Now, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how this gets fixed. But what I have noticed is that power is often associated directly with resources. The more resources you have, the more power you can obtain. And what I notice, especially in the Black community, is our focus a lot of the time is, how am I going to pay my bills next month? How do I make ends meet? Because there's also systems in place where in the workforce, you know, we're not getting the same compensation. Same opportunities are not open to all Black people as they would be to, and this is where they start speaking about white privilege. Because of my name, I didn't get a job, or because of my skin color, I wasn't accepted for a certain position. But because we have to spend so much time thinking about where our next dollar is coming from, that valuable time that could be used to create a solution is used on us trying to catch up and get ahead. And this is why I feel like it is so important, especially I'm calling on my minorities, I'm calling on my Black people. Yes, we've been put in a situation, in a system that is built to teach us that we are less than and that we are not worthy. And this is why it is incredibly necessary that we take the time to invest in ourselves and break those chains of a poverty mindset, break those chains of a lack mentality, and rise up and understand our worth. You know, we look in the media and we see all of the richest people who don't necessarily look like us, and we get that subconscious mentality that rich people are bad. Having money means that you're greedy, that you think you're better than the next person. The way that I see it, money will only make you more of who you already are. And so if you know in your heart that you're a good person, and you go out and you create the wealth in your life that you need, you make sure you're financially set in position. You filled your cup, so all of your basic needs are met, your lifestyle needs are met. Now everything beyond that, you can go and contribute to your community. You take those extra dollars that you have and invest in Black businesses, invest in Black education, invest back into your community because you can. The greatest riches and wealth in this world were built on the backs of black people. But then the system was built to tell us that we are not worth all the riches and wealth that we built. And so what my call to action is that we need to realize our worth. If we're at home playing a small game, feeling like the actions that we take are not making an impact, that is not true. We have to play bigger. We have to do more. We have to grow ourselves so then we are self-reliant. We create our own power. We don't need power given to us. We create it. You create wealth in your life, in the way that you think, in your bank account, in the way that you love. You create wealth for yourself. You will inspire others around you, and you'll be able to teach others around you how to create wealth. And then we can go out and we can build back our communities. We can build back Black Wall Street. We can have our own. And for those of you who are listening who are not Black, my call to action for you is the same. Play a big game, fill your cup up, and use your platform, use your advantage to educate the people around you. That is ludicrous. It's insane to think that the color of my skin should intimidate somebody to a point where they want to act out violently and force us to believe that we are smaller or less than. We have to be very aware of where we are in life and where our life is going. And instead of looking for the light and instead of expecting other people to come up with the solution, we have to be the light. There's a whole lot of darkness going on right now, but we have to be the light. We have to find the light in ourselves. That spark in ourselves will create the chain reaction that we're looking for. We have to lead the charge and show the world what humanity is. We have to show the world the right way to support our own communities, the right way to treat each other, the right way to respect each other and our property and the things that we are building. We have to set the standard. If you have some information, if somebody puts you on to something and now you've learned a way to create wealth, to create abundance in your life, we have to share these messages. And we have to look in the mirror and create a growth plan for ourselves. It literally starts in us. Now, this is my opinion. This is my viewpoint on it. There's going to be some people who don't agree. And the only reason you wouldn't agree is if you are in that space of inferiority, still not realizing your worth. What you've been through should not dictate how you continue on in this life. Just because you were raised believing something does not mean that's the right thing. Just because that's what your parents taught you or that's what you've always known, that doesn't mean it's the right thing. You need to challenge what are your values, what are your core beliefs, and are they yours? Or did you just adopt them from somebody else? And that somebody else who you took those ideas from, are those the right ideas? Is that something that you believe, or is that something you just accepted? For those of you who are feeling what I'm feeling right now and beyond, I just need you to understand that you're not alone. That it's okay to turn off social media. It's okay to give yourself a mental health day. What you're feeling is not irrational, but we have to focus on the solution and stop magnifying the problem. We know what the problem is, and now it's time to work on solutions. But if we are operating on empty, we cannot find a solution. So do whatever you need to do to fill your cup in a way that's not going to harm other people. Do what you need to do to fill your own cup, grow yourself, so we can truly come together, equally yoked, equally with something to bring to the table. And that's how we find a real solution, by building up ourselves, building up our neighbor, building up our communities. That's the building block I have essentially, is just find the wealth in, or know your worth and understand that there is wealth in just being human. And so tap right back into what that means. to be able to wake up every day, to be able to breathe, to be able to love, to be able to create. Take pride in that and grow from that. And your self-worth should never be determined by somebody else's actions or somebody else's existence. If you feel powerless because somebody else is gaining power, that's something that you need to work on. Really take a look in the mirror and reflect on what is your role in all of this and what can you do to help grow yourself, educate yourself, allow yourself to understand your worth so you don't feel depleted by other people's greatness. Let other people's greatness inspire you to be great in your own right. If anybody needs to reach out for whatever reason, I am here to talk. I'm open to any solutions. I'm open to collaborations. I'm open to just finding ways to come back to what it means to be a human being. And I just encourage you to do the same. Share what you're feeling. Share what your ideas are. Share what you're doing actively to make sure that your cup is full. So I'm going to do my part in spreading the word of financial literacy and empowering people through understanding. You get your finances right. You get your money mindset right. You fill your cup so you can go and spread the word to other people. Because if you're too preoccupied trying to figure out how to pay the bills, then you can't be a part of the solution. So let me know what your part is, what your ideas are. Leave a comment for me. Reach out to me. DM me. I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear what ideas are out there. I'll be here next week with another building block for success. Until next time, let's build a legacy.